Most of us probably have more than one operatory. And in many cases, and I'm sure there's some of you out here that could, feel this too, like you're doing something in a room and you have the suction in that patient's mouth and somebody else in an operatory down the way turns on their HVE and all of a sudden your suction's not working all that well, but your poor patient's drowning here. That's another great reason that we're going to want to manage our suction. That is a great why for me. And in some offices, your evacuation unit is also working the scavenger on your nitrous units. So our vacuum is such a critical piece of equipment. And if we don't manage it, it costs us money. It costs us major money. So if you are emotionally driven, your why might be that your team and your patients are safer with a properly managed vacuum unit. But if you're financially driven, or maybe even a little of both, your why might be to not buy or maintenance or fix your unit. And also, it's important to manage our equipment because then it ensures that the money we spend on some of those very cool high volume evacuation tips, those actually work. Failure to clean evacuation lines daily, it leads to that biofilm growth and a heavy bioburden. And this can decrease the ability for your suction to suck. And this adds in the fact that multiple ops are possibly running their suction lines. Maybe your vacuum pump is too small to be running all those lines at the same time. And then patients close their lips on it and they get backflow. There is a difference between your suctions and your air water syringe. And when you walk into your utility closet, understanding what is in there and how they are different is also important, because there is a difference between the compressor and your vacuum unit. Let's listen to Leon tell us why it's important to turn our units off and go in that utility closet or wherever your button is and turn that off throughout the day.
Anytime you can turn it off, absolutely.
Okay,
Just to let the ambient temperature of the mechanical room drop down a little bit, and to also drain your tank. So if you're in a high volume office, say you have a 10-gallon Mojave MT10 tank, if you're in a high volume office, there is a chance it gets up to the upper float, shuts it off during the course of the day. If you relax the inches of mercury in the tank, it drains the tank, washes it out over the 30-minute hour lunchtime that you have, and then kick it back on and it's just fresh and ready to go.
Okay, that's good to know, because I've always fought against that, mostly because I always forgets to turn it back on right after lunch when I've put water into a patient's mouth. How many of you have actually ever thought about the temperature of your utility closet? I mean, I walked in there to check on things, grab, the consumables that were, packaged in the utility closet, and gone, oh my gosh, it is so hot in here. But I never thought about that temperature and how it could take years off of that equipment in that utility closet. Daily cleaning is critical to prolong the life of your equipment, but it's just as important to use the right solution and use it the right way. It is the way that usually has a legacy error attached to it. So I usually have to clean up, no pun intended, and define the SOPs around how people do that. And when you are choosing enzymatic cleaner, there are 8 points that you need to consider. First off, it makes all the sense in the world to choose one that is compatible with your vacuum system. You could check with your manufacturer to see if they have one that they recommend or even make. Check and make sure that it is EPA compliant, because we're not trying to make the EPA mad with the things that we put into the system. The non-foaming part, and that's where I screwed up for a really long time, because we were taught, and this again was almost 20 years ago when I was in hygiene school, to use like warm soapy water. But foaming can cause a lot of issues in your systems. Even in the portable mobile equipment that I use now as a hygienist, I can't use foaming stuff because it causes quite an issue. When we choose our products, we want to make sure that it's non-hazardous. Also that it has a neutral pH, because now we all have amalgam separators. And so if we are using anything like number 7 that oxidizes, like bleach water solution, hydrogen peroxide, anything like that, that could react with our amalgam separator and create kind of a noxious gas. And we also want to make sure it costs it's cost efficient. Because if I've learned one thing in dentistry, I could teach you and you could be motivated, but the moment you see a cost and it doesn't fit in your budget, you probably ain't doing it. So we want to make sure that you're motivated to do it because you want to keep these going, and that it's cost effective for you and your team and your budget. And then finally, we want to make sure that it has a delivery system.